शुक्लां वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नमुपशान्तये दक्षिणामूर्तिसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. गणपति बप्पा जय श्री राम. Okay, so before I start today's session, there was a small bit which I had missed, so my wife pointed it out to me last time. These are the perils of people who listen to it very carefully. Okay, so I had once told that if Ram picks up a bow and kind of strings the bow and pulls an arrow, it cannot then again go back to the quiver. It has to go back, it has to hit some target and then come back. Okay, so that is how Ram's promise is. So once it's put on the bow and it's pulled, then it has to hit some target. So if in the last session, if you remember, he had almost about to leave the arrow on the king of sea, right, Samudra Raja, and that's the time when Samudra Raja comes and asks for pardon and then shows the place and stuff like that. So the question is, what happened to that particular arrow which he had pulled, you know? So Rama asks, see, the Samudra Raja, so what do I do with this arrow? I have to now hit somebody. Is there somebody who's troubling you? Let me know. So Samudra Raja tells that yes, there are some people in the northwest of India who are troubling me. So I would want you to send an arrow in that direction so that they are taught a lesson for having polluted the sea. So he sends an arrow which travels 2,500 kilometers and drops at a place which then becomes completely devoid of all vegetation and complete scarcity of water, which is what we commonly now know as Thar Desert. Okay, so for us, from our Dharma's point, Thar Desert was basically formed by Rama's arrow which fell. Okay, nothing to do with those people now because this is some 17-18 lakh years ago. But also is a lesson for us. So if we end up polluting the sea, either the sea will swell and kind of submerge the entire place or will become a desert. So either ways, I think the lesson is that we should not pollute the sea. There's something that was there in Ramayana also as a message, I mean eco-friendly message. So where we had left the story? We had left the story where Sita now hears the sound of the trumpet of the war, you know, being announced, and the Vanaras are ready, and the Asuras are also ready to get into a war. It's early morning, and they are all ready to get into a war. I actually wanted to cover something in detail, but it is not really relevant for Ramayana. Warriors also come in categories. Okay, so there is something called as an Ardharathi. Okay, somebody who fights on a chariot is called as a Rathi. So somebody who is half the strength of a Rathi is an Ardharathi. Then you have a Rathi. Then you have an Athirathi. Then you have something called as a Maharathi, Ati Maharathi, Mahamaharathi. Okay, so there are different categories. Each of the categories have certain powers given. Okay, when you get that amount of powers, then you become a Maharathi or an Ati Maharathi. You can then kill those many people. You have the ability to kill at the same time those many people. This particular aspect has got a lot of importance in Mahabharata. Okay, if and when God permits, if I were to really cover Mahabharata and we come to the stage of war, then probably I'll try and cover this in detail and how each of the warriors fall into different categories. So where does Bhima fall? Where does Arjuna fall? Where does Karuna, Drona, Parshuram, Bhishma, okay, Yudhishthira? So what kind of warriors were they and how they can manage? So there's a lot of detailed description in Mahabharata. For us, let us understand from a war perspective, Rama and Lakshmana, of course, as the ace warriors on this side. That side, Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Indrajit are the most powerful warriors. Indrajit technically is a notch above even Ravana. Okay, so in terms of his war prowess, in terms of his ability to wage a war and defeat of enemies, Indrajit was a notch above even Ravana. So and that is an important part we need to know. We'll now try and cover the story forward. I've given myself 2 days, so probably 1.5 days I should be able to finish. But we'll rush a little bit because Yuddha Kand, where people get killed, is not supposed to be done much in detail. Valmiki has covered in fair amount of detail and very, very graphic explanations given of how the killing happened, how the smashing of head happened, what kind of astras were used, what first astra was used, what was the second one, what was the third one, what was the exchange done. So Valmiki has spent a lot of time, but when uttering a story, it becomes it would be very boring because it needs a visual medium, and now all of us have got used to visual medium. We've seen Ramayana through various, through cartoons or through Ramanand Sagar serial or whatever. So we've seen war fairly in detail, so I'll not kind of cover it. It is also not very auspicious from the house where we say it is not very good. So I mean, one shouldn't be talking of too much of killing. So I'll not kind of get into the details, but I'll anyway cover the important parts so that we don't miss the storyline. Okay, that is what I'm going to do. We've already seen what happened to Ravana, right? Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi. He didn't understand on his own what he's doing. Even when he was told, he didn't understand. So no, life is going to throw a challenge wherein it's going to cost his life. So I remember I have to remember my father here. Okay, so he used to always say this. Okay, fathers are fathers, right? I mean, so there's a good saying, and it says, life doesn't come with instruction book. Okay, it doesn't come with any manual how to lead it, and that is why you have fathers who teach us how to live it, right? Similarly, since God couldn't be everywhere, He created mother. And similarly, because He couldn't give instructions to everybody, He created father. So my father used to always say, there are 3 ways of learning. See, all of us, we are young. When we are young, we have this, we don't much listen. I was fairly an obedient child, but even I had my fair share of rebel without a cause, I mean, dad saying and me agreeing when teenager and young, it's always a conflict. Just necessarily don't listen to our fathers. Once we get married and we become dads, we realize that we should have listened and the importance of it. So in one such instance, what had happened is I was not listening to him, and he just happened to tell me. He said, there are 3 ways of learning. Okay, he says, either you understand on your own, right? So depending on the kind of family values we have, depending on the kind of upbringing, the culture that we've been brought up into, there are certain good and bad that we know, and there are certain do's and don'ts. We ourselves kind of draw a particular line for ourselves. So we don't go and rob anybody, we don't go and murder anybody. So these are the basic do's and don'ts that we have in life, right? So this is something that we realize on our own. So one way of learning is you realize on your own and you don't do some mistake. The second is at least listen to somebody who's telling you that something has to be done or not to be done, right? Like an elderly, a brother, a father, or whatever, a mother. They tell and we listen, right? So either I know on my own or I have to listen to somebody. When we don't do either of it, life ends up teaching us the way it has to be taught, and that is always a hard way, which is what we all get calling as experience, right? So when we say what is experience, basically small, big blows that life has given, where we have not listened to people and where we have not had the wisdom to know what it is, that is when we become experienced. And then we understand, oh, we shouldn't have done this. Oh, my father said this and I should have heard him. This is exactly what has happened with Ravana. Ravana didn't have the wisdom to know that he shouldn't have abducted Sita. Okay. Having abducted Sita, the whole gang, right from his brother Kumbhakarna, Vibhishna, Malyavan, his own spies, his ministers, everybody is saying, go and return Sita, this is going to destroy the entire clan. He didn't even listen to them. Now what? Life is going to give him a blow. Unfortunately, some blows are small, some blows are big, and some blows are fatal. Right? So here Ravana is going to get a fatal blow because his mistake was also of that grave in nature. Right? So that is what is going to happen, which is what all of us know. We'll try and cover that part of the story. So Jai Sri Ram, Jai Lakshmana is the Nara, that is the Jai Ghosh that is happening on the Vanara side, and Jai Ravana is what is happening on the Asura side. The detailed description Valmiki actually tells how's the array, okay, what is the kind of vyuha that Vanaras do, what is the kind of array that, the kind of defense that Lanka has, how each of the gate were manned by different generals or brigadiers, how Vanaras also encircled the entire fortress, and how each of the east, west, south, who was heading each of it. So it's actually fairly in detail, okay, and it has to be enjoyed. If it's visually enjoyed, it kind of brings in a lot of joy. So the first day itself, we have Indrajit who comes out. Okay, Indrajit comes out and starts fighting. He's fighting like a lion. He's in full rage. He's fighting like a real lion, killing a lot of Vanaras. There's a lot of people who are dying. Hanuman tries, Nala, Neela tried to contain him. They are not able to contain him at all. Okay, and he's so powerful. Indrajit is in full rage. What he does is, at a split moment when he feels he's in a strong position, he leaves an astra called Sarpa Astra. This is on the first day itself of the battle. Huh? He leaves a astra called Sarpa Astra. What is a Sarpa Astra? Sarpa Astra is basically where poisonous snakes, by that mantra, all the poisonous snakes become straight like an arrow, and they come and encircle us and they start biting us. Okay, so there's a venom that starts entering into our body. So that is what is the astra that Indrajit has left. Rama and Lakshmana have got bound by that and have fell unconscious. War yahan chalu nahi hua, Rama and Lakshmana are already unconscious. Okay, this is what has happened in the first day itself. Indrajit is very happy. He said Rama and Lakshmana are now almost dead. I mean, they are not going to survive the venomous snakes that are going to be nibbling on their body. So he leaves the ground and he says congratulations to all the asuras, and he leaves the battleground and goes back home. And he also informs his father. He says, Father, the war, even as it started, is also ended. Don't worry, I have already killed them in half day itself. I have ensured that they are done with. Ravana is extremely happy. He is saying, Indrajit, I am so proud of you. I knew you would be able to finish. What are those? They are just common humans, right? And monkeys. What they think they can stand against such a powerful, superior army like an asura. So he says, I am very happy. What Ravana further does is, he wanted to break Sita also. He's a nasty guy, right? He's a wicked guy. So what he also does is, he also tells his assistant, go pick Sita in my Pushpaka Viman, take her through an aerial tour, you know, like the way prime ministers do when you have something flooded. So they take an aerial tour there and show them Rama and Lakshmana, who are now dead, almost dead. So Trijata and Sita, they go along with the pilot. And Sita sees that, you know, Rama and Lakshmana are actually injured and they are lying unconscious, and she thinks they are dead. She really starts crying, she's devastated. Trijata says, wait, and tells the pilot to take one more round, let me see carefully. And she very keenly sees, and she says, no, these two guys are alive, they are not dead. The radiance in the face is still there, and the face doesn't look like one of the dead person. So the child, don't worry, they are clearly alive. The moment that venomous snake's sorcery is over, they will surely get up, which means the astra has not killed them. Okay, had the astra to be killed, they would have died long back, which means they are going to survive that, don't worry. That is what she says, and they go back. The entire Vanara army morale is down. First day, first half, Rama and Lakshmana themselves are down. You can just imagine what is happening in the ranks, right? Everybody is down, everybody is crying. Vibhishana is crying. They don't know what is to be done and how do they get them out. Even as they are crying, suddenly there is a huge gush of wind that starts blowing. Huge. I mean, it's almost like a mini storm. It is so powerful that small young Vanaras actually fall. Okay, I mean, that is a kind of gush of wind that comes. And there is a huge sound of flapping of wing that they hear. So they just turn up and they see a huge eagle. You know, it's a bird. It's a huge eagle that is now trying to land in that particular place with a huge wing span. It comes and it's just about to land. Even as it is just about to land, that huge bird, these snakes that are encircling Rama and Lakshmana, out of fear they just leave and then vanish. Okay? Because it's a natural enemy, right? For an eagle, snakes are a natural enemy. So eagles are very powerful. It stops and Rama and Lakshmana now gain consciousness. So Rama asks, who are you? I mean, who are you, king of birds? Who are you? Garuda in his mind, it is Garuda. Okay, Garuda in his mind is thinking, all your life you have been sitting on me and now you have the audacity to ask who am I? Okay, he's saying that's okay, you will not remember me. Finish off your war and all your other work. I'm sure memory will come back to you. You will know who I am. He blesses and then he leaves. Now, why did Garuda come? Technically, Garuda shouldn't have come. Why? Because Garuda is Vishnu's Vahan and has got nothing to. There is no role for him to play in Rama Avatar because Rama has clearly told that he will be as a human. Now the reason why he came is because he was not ready to come. Jatayu, okay, after taking moksha, having gone, Jatayu's uncle is Garuda, right? When Jatayu sees Rama and Lakshmana lying with Sarpastra, he goes and meets Garuda and he says, Garuda, you have to go and help them, because if you don't help them, the war is over. Garuda is hesitant. He is saying, I cannot do that. Vishnu has given me clear orders that I cannot come and help. I have no role to play in this avatar. I cannot go. I will only get scolded. I said, no, don't worry, don't worry. Rama, we've caught him in a catch-22 situation. So Garuda says, what? So Jatayu says, by virtue of he having given me moksha, he has for a split second proven that he is God. Right? If you remember, I had covered this story in Jatayu Moksha, right, in Kishkinda Kand, wherein, it was actually Aranya Kand, end of Aranya Kand, where Jatayu was given moksha. Normal humans can't, but Rama did a deviation and did show that he was God, and he gave Jatayu the moksha. So in case, he says, in case Rama asks you, why did you come? I had told you don't come. Tell him that I have come in the same manner as you helped Jatayu get moksha. They will not say anything. That is the argument that Jatayu has equipped him. Of course, Rama plays his role to the perfection. He is not asking him. He doesn't even recognize Garuda. This way, they are out. And there is a huge jubilation. Everybody is cheering, shouting. Ravana is all very happy and partying inside, and suddenly he is saying, he is hearing a lot of jubilation outside in the Vanara camp. Saying, what has happened? He comes out and watches from his balcony and he sees, oh my God, Rama and Lakshmana are again standing up on their feet. Well, okay, now we'll have to ensure that the war goes on. So then he sends all his brigadiers, colonels, one by one. Valmiki has given all the names, Dhuma Rakshaka, then you have Vajradamashtra, then Akampana. Akampana, if you remember, is the man who ran away. When at Janasthan, when Rama killed 14,000 army in a split second, he had killed actually 13,999. He left one person for the sake of proof, which he does always. And that person was Akampana, who had come back to Ravana and given the news. That Akampana, all of these brigadiers, colonels, at that level, everybody come, they all get killed in a matter of time. Hanuman, Sugriva, Angada, Nala, Nila, Jambavan, all of these people are fighting and then killing them one by one. Ravana is getting news, one by one he keeps on getting news of his army getting killed. And he's wondering as to how come this whole Vanaras are so powerful, how come one of my most powerful generals are getting killed. It is the Asura army, right? The superior Asura army, and they are all low technology. They have got only weapons of what? Mace, and then you have this rocks and trees, and this is what they have, and how come they are killing? He is really surprised. And he is talking to Prahasta, which is his commander-in-chief, Senapati. And he says, I don't know what is happening. Prahasta says, King, I know what is happening, and this is something that we had already warned you. Everything is going as per what the destiny was. We knew, the moment we saw Hanuman, we knew the trouble that we are into. We knew Hanuman told that he is just one of the Vanar, and these people are capable of doing a lot of other things. So what is happening is just what was destined. We should have returned Sita a long time back, but that's not my job to tell you. I am your general, right? I am your commander-in-chief. So my duty is to fight for you. My life is for you. My family's life is for you. I'll ensure that I lay it in the right spirit. Prahasta goes out. Huge battle. Okay. This battle he goes and fights. It goes on for more than half a day. Nila, son of Agni, ensures that he fights with Prahasta and kills him. As I said, I am not getting into the gory details. So it's Nila who kills Prahasta. The moment Prahasta is dead, now it's struck. Now Ravana is struck with a huge issue. Saying, I don't have my brigadiers, I don't have my colonels. My commander-in-chief also is dead. And who's Prahasta? Prahasta is someone who's as powerful as Indra. He could have fought Indra and even defeated, on a good day in his form, he could have even defeated Indra himself. And in that fit of rage, even without thinking, what Ravana does is, I am going to end this war now. He puts on his armor, he takes his weapons, and he straight enters the battleground. King is not supposed to enter the battleground at this stage, right? He still has a few others who can enter the battleground, try and hold the fort. King is supposed to enter the last. We know how chess works, right? King is the last. And your king is the one who you end up saving the entire game. That is how it is there in war also. But Ravana enters saying, I want to finish it off today itself. And he comes out, it's full-fledged. He comes out killing Vanaras in dozens and in scores of Vanaras getting killed. First Hanuman tries to attack him, then Lakshmana tries to attack him. They are not able to contain Ravana at all. Okay, here I would want to quickly mention, we'll across the war we will see Hanuman trying to contain some people and is not able to. Can't Hanuman really fight? This is a question my son had asked the first time he had heard Ramayana from me. Is it you always been saying Hanuman is the most powerful? How can't he kill? How is it that he can't kill Ravana? Hanuman could have done everything. There is no doubt about it. But he would not do, because he will play his role properly. Right? His role is not to show his strength at this point of time. It is about Rama and Lakshmana and others to show their strength. He will show his strength at proper place and then at appropriate measure. That which befits the situation. Right? He will not go beyond the script and kind of hawk the entire the screenplay. Now, that is not what Hanuman is. So that is the reason he will also play as per the role given and as per the brief that is there. So at particular point of time, what happens is Ravana throws a mace and it's about to come and hit Lakshmana hard. Hanuman, in a quick moment, he comes, picks up Lakshmana and then comes out. So that is the way Lakshmana gets saved. Rama sees this from a distance. He says, this has to end. Rama himself enters the war, and this is the first time that he enters the war. And they have a huge fight that happens between Ravana and Rama. Okay, they are an equal match, but Rama is really powerful. Rama first kills his charioteer, smashes his chariot, breaks all his arms, and in a split second, Ravana finds himself without any arms standing in the battleground. So nihatta, without any arms. And Rama is somebody who goes as per dharma, right? So he also stops the battle. He says, this is where the most important dialogue in Kamba Ramayana comes to play. Okay, this is the most often repeated dialogue in Kamba Ramayana. He says, Rama says to Ravana, he says, Indrepoi Naleva, which means go back today to your home and return to the battleground tomorrow. But this is actually the biggest insult that one can put on another warrior. A warrior is there to fight, right? When you pardon his life and you say, go back, it's okay, you lost, you go back home, rest and then come back. That's the biggest insult that Rama does, and Ravana is really angry and crestfallen. He doesn't even know how to react. He moves back in a huff. He goes back and is sitting and is thumping the table and is saying, my God, why did I do this? I'm so crestfallen and I don't even know what I can do. His ministers, his son and all come and they say, why did you even do that? You should have asked us and then gone, right? You shouldn't do this again. Ensure that you never ever do this. You will be the last person to enter the battleground. Never ever enter the battleground till such time all of us are alive. And you still have Kumbhakarna who can help you. He's the most powerful one that you have. Why do you even get into the war? Once he goes on the battleground, victory is surely ours. So that suddenly lifts his whole mood. And he says, yes, go wake up Kumbhakarna, ensure that he's awake. Because why? Because he's already slept. I remember I told the last scene when Kumbhakarna was speaking to Ravana, it was already kind of 10:30. Now it's almost 12:30 for him, and he's really fast asleep. Right? Midnight for him, he's fast asleep. Now you have to go and wake him up. Right? So everybody go, they wake him up, they pierce swords, spears. There are actually elephants who walk on his body. I don't know if you all have seen this Amar Chitra Katha, story of Kumbhakarna. Very beautifully given, pictorially explained. There'll be a lot of hot water thrown on him, and then there are elephants who are walking on him, and elephants trumpeting in his ears and stuff like that. So finally, Kumbhakarna wakes up. He wakes up, and the first thing that Kumbhakarna does after waking up is eat, because he's sleeping for a long time, right? So he's hungry. So the first thing you have to keep ready when Kumbhakarna wakes up is food. So he goes, he eats. He is not even brushing and all, is not a part of Asura's dinacharya. Okay, that is all for us. He just gets up and eats. Once he eats, he's a little okay. The person who woke him up is Yupaksha. Okay. Here, I'll just quickly take a small deviation. Every character has been given, every character's name has been uttered in Ramayana. Okay, and this is the reason I always keep saying why Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Itihasa, Purana is because these characters have names. And if you were to write out of your fiction, you can't get into these details, right? Ramayana has details like a person who came and woke him up, right? Mahabharata has details like who are Karna's 9 sons, their wives, okay? All of this they find place. Why? It is because it actually happened. Right? Only when it actually happens, you are able to write down the names and ensure that all of that gets penned down. Out of fiction of mind, you cannot get into so much of details. Right? There is another indirect proof that all of these stories actually happened. So Paksha, okay, is a person who actually woke Kumbhakarna, okay, and he ensured that he tells him the news. So Kumbhakarna asks him, so what happened? Why have you woken me up? I don't need to be awake at this point of time at all. So Kumbhakarna, no, the Yupaksha says, no, you don't know what has happened. Rama and Lakshmana have attacked. They have come, and we are almost losing the battle. All our brigadiers, colonels, generals, everybody is dead. The commander-in-chief is also dead, and Ravana himself was defeated in a battle, and we don't know what we can do about this. You have to come and fight the battle. Kumbhakarna is still not completely woken up. Okay, so he wakes up. He says, "Okay, I'm very angry, and I'm going to fight and ensure that the battle is won, so that I can go back and sleep." He says, "No, wait, you can't go to the battleground right away. You have to freshen up yourself. Ravana, your brother has called you to the court, so there's a whole strategy through which it has to be worked out. So you have to go and meet him." So Kumbhakarna gets up, freshens up himself, and kind of puts off the armor and all, and then goes and visits his brother. And he says, "Brother, what happened?" Ravana then starts the story. He says, "I don't know if you remember before you went to sleep, Rama and Lakshmana, Sita, whom had got here, her husband, Hanuman had come here as his Rama's doot, and you don't know what happened later on. Rama and Lakshmana and the entire gang have come back here, and they have also already waged a war, and we are almost losing a lot of people." That is the time Kumbhakarna suddenly remembers what had happened, and he says, "Yes, I remember, brother. Oh, you didn't give back Sita at all. You asked for so many advice and all. You didn't even give back Sita. See what you have done for the Asura clan, brother. You should not have actually got her at all. And now having got her, you are not even returning. And this is all because of that." Kumbhakarna again starts advising him. Ravana is all upset. This is not the time to give me advice. That time is all past. You giving me advice, me listening to your advice is all past. We are now in the midst of a battle. You either support me or desert me like Vibhishna. Looking at the plea that Ravana is doing, Kumbhakarna says, no, there is no question of me going away. I will surely fight for you. He does pradakshina of his own brother. And he gets up, picks up his spear, and he walks out. Kumbhakarna is an oversized demon even as per the demon standard. Okay, the compound wall, the boundary wall of that palace itself is like a compound wall for him. So he kind of crosses it, okay, and then gets on to the battle. Kumbhakarna is killing in hundreds at a stretch, 100. He just puts his hand down. There are hundreds who get crushed. That is the level at which he is fighting. Nala, Nila, Jambavan, Sugriva, everybody is trying to control him. Nobody is able to control. Sugriva gets into the war with him. One single blow by his left hand, Sugriva falls unconscious. What he does is, he picks up Sugriva and he starts carrying him back to the palace. He's saying, "See what I've got as a prize. I have got the king of Vanaras." He turns and starts walking back towards the palace. Everybody is happy. Then the king of Vanara is already dead. Then the battle is over. See, Kumbhakarna didn't take even any time. He just came, he just puts his hand like this and kills hundreds. Sugriva is also dead. As he's carrying, the Asuras and their wives and all, they are all happy. So they are all sprinkling rose water, on Kumbhakarna. So that falls on Sugriva. Okay, the moment that falls on Sugriva, Sugriva wakes up. He realizes where is he? He is in his Kumbhakarna's hands. Okay, he suddenly realizes what is happening. He is being taken back into Lanka's palace to become a prisoner. So he wakes up, he takes a jump, and he scratches Kumbhakarna's nose and ears. Almost his flesh is dangling, his nose gets cut, his ears are plucked, and then jumps and comes back to Rama's camp. That Kumbhakarna who was causing this havoc is now even more ferocious because he's got hurt, he's bleeding, he's in pain. He's even more ferocious. And he's now coming and attacking even more ferociously. Lakshmana is trying to beat him, he's not able to do. Rama starts attacking him, even his arrows are not even piercing his skin. Then Rama says, "No, this is enough. Now I think I need to use some astras to ensure that Kumbhakarna is killed, otherwise he'll keep on killing people." He starts using his astras and he says, "I'll have to kill him bit by bit. I cannot kill him at one stroke." So he starts first cutting his lower legs, then his upper legs, then his hands, and then finally Kumbhakarna falls without limbless, no legs, no hands, and in the final arrow he cuts his throat. The entire head gets carried meters into the palace ground and it falls, a huge head, Kumbhakarna's head, it falls in the palace ground. There's sudden silence in the Asura clan. Okay, Kumbhakarna whom they relied on so much, is dead and killed by Rama. The moment this news reaches Ravana, Ravana is devastated. Ravana just falls unconscious. He gets up, he cries, he again falls unconscious. He is not able to digest the news that his dear brother Kumbhakarna is dead. Kumbhakarna is a very special brother, okay? So although Meghdut, that is Indrajit, was Ravana's pride, Ravana's affection was Kumbhakarna, right? An amazing brotherly relationship they had. They slept together, they ate together, mischief together, killed together, penance together, causing trouble to people together. So they did everything together. So for Ravana, Kumbhakarna was extremely close. He was even closer than Indrajit and even Mandodari. That is the amount of affection that Ravana had. That is the amount of affection that Kumbhakarna also had for Ravana. The moment Kumbhakarna dies, the first time Ravana realizes and he says, brother, what is it that I have done? I should have listened to Vibhishna and given back Sita. And if I had done that in time, you would have lived and I wouldn't have lost you. He goes on to say, what are these guys, Vanaras and humans? We are trying our best to kill them. Sarpastra has not worked. Prahasta's attack has not worked. Indrajit's attack has not worked. My attack hasn't worked. Kumbhakarna's attack has not worked. What are these guys made up of? How come they bounce back every time they are under a blow? That's the first time he asks this question to himself. Are they Narayana himself? Is what he asks. And he stops and he says, probably this Narayana himself who's come to punish me. But no, I can't go back. He's already put to stake so many lives and people have died, right? There's no way of him going back. He's extremely hurt, crying. His son comes, Indrajit, which is Meghdut. He comes, father, don't worry. Indrajit is a crack guy. Okay, no emotions, nothing. For him, he's a young blood. He thinks everything is just fighting a war and winning. So he comes, he talks to his father and he says, don't worry, we will avenge the death of Prahasta. We will avenge the death of our uncle. And I'll go and fight and ensure that the war is finished. Like the first day, this day I'll finish the war and come. With full rage, Indrajit comes. And Indrajit is undoubtedly the toughest warrior that Ravana had. As I told, he's even a single notch above Ravana. That is the toughest and the most powerful warrior this guy Ravana had. And Indrajit also knew magic, so it was even more tougher to defeat him. So as I said, there is Ati Maharati, Maha Maharati, different classifications. Indrajit comes into the Ati Maharati, okay, one of the cream, okay, of warriors and an extremely difficult warrior to beat. Technically, Lakshmana is not at the level at which Indrajit is, okay, is a notch below as compared to Indrajit's prowess in fighting a war. But we'll come to the story where Lakshmana ends up killing Indrajit. So we'll come to that also and I'll kind of explain as to how that happens. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah, so Indrajit is fighting with full rage. He now uses magic. So he kind of fighting in the sky. He disappears here, he appears there, he again disappears and appears somewhere else. And at a split moment, he creates multiple of his own, So there are about 100 people in the sky standing and Lakshmana doesn't know whom to fight with. At that moment, what he does is, even as Lakshmana is trying to search which Asura is supposed to kill, which Indrajit is supposed to kill, he comes from behind and uses an astra called Shakti Astra, leaves it on Lakshmana, and Lakshmana is fatally wounded. He gets wounded and he falls unconscious, okay? And if not treated, he will die. At that level, Lakshmana gets wounded. Quickly, let me cover a couple of other things. There are multiple versions, okay? Ramayana, because it has been written by a lot of people, there are multiple versions. Some of the versions say that it was Rama and Lakshmana both who got wounded, okay? But we will go with the more popular version where Lakshmana alone has got wounded. And the moment Lakshmana falls, there is again doom, Right? There is a lot of gloom that is spread on the Vanara side. The battle stops. Indrajit goes back to his home, and now everybody is kind of now standing around Lakshmana for him to wake up, or some medication to happen so that he wakes up. Rama comes to know that Lakshmana has got wounded. He rushes to that spot, and then he's almost in tears, and he says, "My brother, what has happened to you? How come something like this has happened to you?" That is the time that Vibhishana comes, and he says, if at all there is one person who can save Lakshmana, this is the doctor of Ravana. His name is called Shushena. If we can get him, I am sure he will surely have a medicine which can be given to him and Lakshmana can be treated. Rama is all excited. He is saying, "Go, yes, please, let us have Shushena come out here and do the needful." But he also understands the fact that Shushena is not his doctor. It is Ravana's family doctor. Right? So why will he support? So Vibhishana says, "No, we will still try." So who can try? There is only one person who can try. And that is Hanuman. Hanuman goes, jumps, he's been given he knows the geography. So Vibhishana says, "Yeah, you take 2 lefts here, there's a clock tower, right side, second house, blue painted, that is where Sushena is." So he goes there. Sushena is doing some puja, some research on his new medicines or whatever. Suddenly his house starts shaking. Hanuman comes and slowly picks up the entire house. Okay? Sushena says, "Why is my house shaking?" And he comes out and stands in his balcony and he finds this 200 feet above the ground. Okay? Sushena is already picked up and he's saying, "What is this huge figure? Why are you carrying me?" So I said, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. I'm carrying you with a purpose." They cross the boundary of the wall and they come, and then Sushena meets Vibhishana, and Vibhishana tells, "This is what has happened. Shakti Astra has been used and Lakshmana is down and we need to save him." The first reaction, of course, Sushena says is, "I am Ravana's doctor. How can I even treat? You are technically my enemy." Rama then reads out the rule book and he says, the rule for Vaidya, for the doctor, is that irrespective of caste, creed, gender, irrespective of whether enemy or my own clan, a doctor, if meeting a patient, has to ensure that he treats. This is not from Hippocrates' oath. Hippocrates' oath is now recent, right? Our people knew the duty of a doctor ages before. This is way before Hippocrates wrote the oath. My sense is Hippocrates' oath must have written after he read Sushena's statement. Sushena then said, "Yes, as a doctor I have to treat." He says, "We need Mrita Sanjeevani." That is the name of the herb that is needed. So everybody asks, "Where is it?" "We'll get it." "Is it there somewhere in the market in Lanka?" "I'll get it," Hanuman says. So no, it is not available in any market. You have to go to Himalaya. Okay, it is there in a mountain called Dronagiri, which is between Kailasha and Rishabha in Himachal Pradesh. Okay, for us somewhere in Himalaya. Suddenly all heads turn which side? They all turn to Hanuman. Hanuman is standing and seeing, "My God, why are you looking at me?" Because this job again Hanuman has to do. Now Hanuman asks, "How much time do I have? Is there a deadline to this?" So Sushena says, "Yes, I wanted it as of yesterday." That's the kind our bosses ask, when we want a report. Well, when do I give the report? "I wanted it yesterday," which means on priority. He says the time that we have is only till sunrise. If by sunrise we do not get the medicine, Lakshmana will die. So Hanuman starts off, right? Hanuman takes a plunge and he flies at a speed of a lightning bolt. These aircrafts, fighter aircrafts, they fly at Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3. Mach is the benchmark. Mach means sound of the speed of sound. So when you fly at Mach 2, which means you are flying at double the speed of the sound, which means even before I can hear the sound of the aeroplane, visually the aeroplane has already moved ahead. So when I see up, I can't see the plane because it is moving at double the speed of the sound. Okay, so that is the kind of speed at which Hanuman is flying. There are some obstacles he gets. Ravana comes to know, he sends an asura and stuff like that. I will not get into those details. They are there in different kinds of versions. But before leaving, he prays for his guru. His guru is Surya. And he says, "This is the time, Surya, that you have to help. Ensure that you do a little late sunrise this time. Okay, sleep for a longer while. Ensure that you wake up a little late and come back as a sunrise a little late so that I get extra time." Hanuman has left here. Rama has taken Lakshmana's head on his lap and is weeping. And he utters this particular shloka. It's a doha from Ramcharitramanas. I will mention this, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because there's a little question that is asked around this particular doha. So I'll try and cover this. He says, Apaloku soku sutatora, sahi nithura kathora uramora, nija janani ke ek kumara, tat tasu tum pran adhara. So what it basically means is, hey my son, the way he is addressing Lakshmana is, my son, the stone-hearted person that I am. Rama is addressing to himself, the stone-hearted person that I am. How can I bear both griefs, one of loss in the battle and your loss? How can I bear both this grief? He goes on to say, Nija janani ke ek kumara. You are a son, you are one son of your true mother. Who is the true mother? Sumitra. Tat tasu tum pran adhara, which means you are her lifeline. The moment she comes to know that you are dead, she will not even live. Right? Where will I carry this burden? How can I even live with that burden? Now the question that people generally end up asking, the controversy around this is, how did Goswami Tulsidas say that Rama called Lakshmana as his son? He is his brother, he is not his son. That is first. Secondly, the second question that generally people ask is, Nija janani ke ek kumara. Technically, Sumitra has two sons, Lakshmana and Shatrughna, right? So how is it that he called that you are the only son of Sumitra? Nija janani ke ek kumara. That is what Rama says. So I'll try and give an explanation to this, because Hanuman has got some time to reach and collect the Mrita Sanjeevani. Okay, Mrita Sanjeevani technically is actually 4 herbs. Okay, it is not a single herb. It is a collection of 4 herbs. One is Vishalya Karani, second is Savarni Karani, Sanjeeva Karani, and then Sandhana Karani. So there are 4 herbs that are there. One is remover of all arrows. Second is restorer of skin color. Okay, first restores the skin, then the restorer of skin color, and then giving life. So it is in that order. First remove the arrow, refresh the skin, get the color back, and then the life. Okay, so it's a bunch of 4 herbs. Apparently it is still there. Coming back, okay, to this Nija janani ke ek kumara. So the reason Rama addresses him as son is because when they left for forest, Sumitra comes and tells Lakshmana. She tells, from today onwards, Lakshmana, your father is not Dasharatha and me, your father is Rama and Sita. Okay? Serve them not as your brother and your bhabi, serve them as your mother and father. That is a kind of service that you have to do. She then comes to Rama and she says, take care of my son as your son. Okay? This is the address, that this is what Sumitra has told, and that is the way Rama has been treating Lakshmana. So this is their common, okay, with elder brothers, specifically with some age. If there are 2 brothers in a house, 3 brothers in the house, the eldest will always be treated like, and you will always have the younger one being told, Bada bhaiya, pita ke saman hai. Okay? And this is something all my life I have been hearing. The reason I want to tell you this is because my brother is about 6 years older to me. Even as a kid, I used to get into a fight with him. The first thing is my mother will come and tell, it's your elder brother, he's like your father. Right? So you have to treat him like that. Okay, having said that, I also confess that my elder brother truly is like a father to me. He's truly lived up to that expectation and continues to live. Even more so now that my father is no more, he's almost kind of taken up the role of my father. But this is a dialogue that you will hear in all families, you know, elder bada bhai, pita ke saman. So that is how it is. So Rama in that sense says that you are my son. He says, addresses Lakshmana, hey my son, the stone-hearted person that I am. Now coming to the second part, Nija janani ke ek kumara. He doesn't say that Nija janani ke ek hi kumara. Right? He only says Nija janani ke ek kumara. When you say ek hi kumara means only son. When you say ek kumara means a son. When you say a son, which means she has more than one son, and hence it is one of the sons. Okay? And this is there even in law. So in section 54 of income tax, where you actually gain an exemption for buying a house, the words used, if you buy a house, okay, which means singular, which means you might have other houses, But if you buy a house, which is another house, you will get a deduction, exemption against the capital gains. So this is a very common way of interpretation. So he doesn't refer to him as Nija Janani ke Eka hi Kumara, he says Nija Janani ke Eka Kumara. Right? That is important. So I thought I'll cover on that because this is a very common, you go and search on Google, people will come back saying that, oh, how can Goswami Tulsidas make such a mistake? We have to understand that these are all people like us. We are so quick in pointing mistakes with saints. Saints never do mistakes. Okay? Bhattatiri, who wrote Narayana, which is a take on Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Puran. There, he gives an instance where Krishna climbs like Gokulashtami, right? Dahi Handi, he climbs on his friends and he then gets the handi and takes the butter. That is the scene that Bhattatiri is explaining. What he ends up explaining is, he says Krishna climbs with a stick in his hand and he breaks it. And that falls, the butter falls. So people start doubting. He says the original Bhagavatam didn't have this. The original Bhagavatam didn't have the, Krishna didn't have the stick. Okay? Bhattatiri, how can you tell that there was a stick? Which means your interpretation of Bhagavatam is wrong. This is where I always keep coming back. When saints write, they are not interpretations, right? They are not a commentary on the original. They are what they are seeing. That's all, period. They actually saw what was happening and they wrote. Krishna gave darshan to Bhattatiri like using a lathi and breaking it. And that is what he wrote, period. The person who asked the question, that night he gets a dream. Okay? And he gets a dream of the same scene where Krishna climbs on his friends and breaks it with the lathi. Okay? He gets back and he gets up and he comes and apologizes. He says, I got this darshan. He says, yeah, the same darshan that I got of Krishna and that is what I wrote. I am not writing from anywhere. I am writing what has been told to me by and shown to me by Krishna. That is how saints write. They don't lie. That is what Tulsidas Goswami saw. That Rama is addressing him as his son and Nija Janani ke Eka Kumara. So you can, Tulsidas can never make a mistake in what he is writing. And this is hence the incorrect interpretation. We should never ever question what saints have written. And this is the critical message which I wanted to give through this example. Hanuman is now waiting. Hanuman has already reached. Hanuman is reached. And there, he's been told that these herbs shine. Okay? The moment he reaches, he finds a lot of, it's night time. There's a lot of sparkling that is happening, LED lights, everywhere. So he looks at it and he says, which one is Sanjeevani Bhuti? I don't know. I don't know which one is Sanjeevani Bhuti. What do I do with this? Then for a moment he thinks. He says, I might take a bunch of it. I go there. And then Sushena says, oh no, I wanted even that. What do I do? I can again travel all those kilometers, come back and then again get it back. I don't have the luxury of time. So what he does is, he picks a part of the entire mountain, the top part of the entire mountain, grows his size, he picks a part of the entire mountain and then carries it. You all must have seen, it's one of the most famous photos where Hanuman is carrying the entire mountain and is flying, right? So he's like this lateral and is carrying the entire mountain like this. Carries the entire mountain and he gets it there, and then these people are seeing from a far away. It's not just Hanuman, there's also a big piece of mountain that is also coming with him. He comes, finds a large place and he places it there. And as soon as he places it there, a lot of animals come rushing out. Why? Because there are animals there. Right? So Hanuman just ensured there is a migration that happened right from Himalaya to the hot Sri Lanka. Right? The animals are all fluttered, they don't know where they have come. This is Hanuman. Right? Smart that he is. He knew he was up against time. He knew that maybe Sushena needs some more herbs from here. He might have told 4. What if he needs more? What if I don't pick up, the right ones? So Hanuman didn't want to leave anything for chance at all. This is like this. When my wife says, go and buy tur dal, the dumb that I am, okay, genuinely I can't make any differentiation between tur dal, urad dal, moong dal and chana dal. I cannot, okay? So when my wife says, go and buy tur dal, I get all 4. Why? Because so that I don't have to go again, okay? But the problem is, when I say, see, I got all 4, I am called dumb, while Hanuman is called intelligent for having got the entire mountain. Okay? Yeah, so that is what happens with husbands. Right? I thought I'm being smart, I mean, you ask for one, I get four, no mistakes done at all. But yeah, I am called dumb, but then Hanuman is intelligent. I was only trying to, learn from what Hanuman did. But these are messages that happen to married people. Okay. So Hanuman, this is what Hanuman does. He gets all four, ensures that the entire mountain is there. Now the question that people generally ask, if the medicine is still there, can it bring the dead alive and stuff like that, unconscious alive? So in Ayurveda, it is not just in our culture, in Dharma, it is not just medicines, it is medicines along with the necessary mantra. Mantras give you the sound vibration which is required for the medicines to act. Okay? So the sound energy is also equally important for the medicines to act, which is what we've lost. So if we expect Sanjeevani Booty to work today, it will work only partially. Why? Because the mantra which is supposed to go with it is lost. So Sushena knew that, luckily. So Sushena ensured that he uttered the right mantras, he made a paste out of those leaves and he applied to the entire body. Lakshmana got up. Sudden again jubilation. As this was happening in the night, Sugriva says, I don't want to leave this opportunity because I'll tell you what is happening. It's something that I wanted to cover earlier. This war is happening day and night, non-stop. Technically, Yuddha Dharma expects that you have to do from Suryodaya to Suryasta. Okay? That is what Yuddha Dharma says. But you have to understand, this is a dharma that happened in Mahabharata years later. Why? Because two brothers, the families were fighting and they adhered to certain dharma. Well, when you are fighting with Asuras, they are not going to listen to your dharmas, right? And for Asuras, in the night, they are 2 times stronger. They are Nisha Chara. Nisha means night, Chara means so people who can walk. So they are basically people who become more active in the night. So this war is actually going day and night. So this is the only time the respite that these people have got. Indrajit has gone back, the war has stopped for a while, Lakshmana is almost on the deathbed. Sugriva says, let us not miss this time. He sends a few chosen Vanaras into Lanka to burn it down. So as all of this is happening, Hanuman is got back, everything, Lanka has already started to burn. Indrajit suddenly wakes up and he says, my God, what is happening? How did all this happen? And suddenly there is jubilation that is happening. He comes and sees, he understands that this is what has happened. Lakshmana has already awakened. He says, let me start using the magic. It is difficult to beat these people. So he creates a Sita-like structure. He carries in his chariot which can fly around. He takes them, hovers around where Rama, Lakshmana and the Vanaras are, and he kills that dummy. He kills that dummy Sita and he shows that Sita has been killed and goes back. The moment Vanaras see this, they all are lost. They say the whole reason why they have come to fight a war is for that lady, for Sita. If Sita is dead, they have sunken their shoulder, they are all lost, mentally they are lost. They all come back and they come back to Rama and Lakshmana and they say, Sita is dead, there is no war, there is no use in fighting war, we all go back. As this discussion is happening, Rama and Lakshmana are saying, it's not possible, how can they kill Sita? Vibhishna also walks in. Vibhishna walks in and he says, why? What happened? Why is the war stopped? They are all saying Indrajit has killed Sita. Well, not possible. Ravana will never allow Sita being killed. What has happened? Tell me count by count. Tell me the entire story. Well, Indrajit came, he killed and he took away Sita. He said, don't worry, it is just his magic. Sita is not killed, go back. Ensure that you talk to all your people and ensure that you go and fight. That is the time Vibhishna realizes there is something that is amiss. Vibhishna says there is something amiss. And he thinks, and he says, I know what Indrajit is doing. He is buying time. And the reason why he is buying time is because he is probably doing his famous Nikumbila Devi Yagna. Okay? Now what is this Nikumbila Devi? Nikumbila Devi is a personal goddess. It's a Devi for Indrajit, who is his favorite goddess. It's Aradhya Devata of Indrajit. Now why is that Yagna so famous and why is the Yagna so powerful? Is because when Indrajit was not Indrajit, he was still Meghnath, Meghadut, whatever he was. When he was fighting a war on behalf of Ravana, he defeats Indra and is almost about to kill Indra. Okay? At that point of time, Brahma intervenes and he says, no, you can't kill Indra. Ask for something in exchange, I will give you, but spare Indra's life. What Meghnath does is, typical of Asuras, he says, I want to live perpetually. Brahma says, not possible, ask specific. He is not able to make a choice. Brahman himself says, okay, you do a puja while a war is going on. If you do a puja to your favorite goddess, whoever it is, you will get a chariot. And once you ride that chariot, you will become invincible. The enemy cannot kill you. But the flip side, if there is an interruption while doing that puja, the person who does the interruption will end up killing you. Okay, so this is a flip side to the boon. Indrajit is happy, so he also assumes the name of Indrajit after having killed, after having defeated Indra. His name is now Indrajit. Now Indrajit is now doing that Nikumbila Yagna, wherein he is trying to gain that chariot. Okay, Vibhishna realizes it. Vibhishna says, "My God, I know what this guy is doing. He's trying to gain that chariot. We have to anyhow go and interrupt that puja, so that he gets killed by the person who interrupts it." So he says, "Hanuman, go immediately and interrupt the puja." Lakshmana stops him. He says, "No, I have to go and defeat and kill Indrajit. Hanuman, take me along with you." So Lakshmana sits on Hanuman's shoulder, and they fly, and Vibhishna guides them as to where he will be doing the puja. See, these are the points where Vibhishna's help turned out to be very important. Vibhishna says, "This is the address where he will be doing his puja. Go there, interrupt it, and then you will be able to kill him." They go, interrupt the puja. Indrajit realizes that his puja has been interrupted. He gets onto his chariot, his magical chariot, his normal magical chariot, and they start a war. It's a huge war that Lakshmana and Indrajit fight. At the end, Lakshmana releases the Indrastra. That very Indrastra, which, Meghnad got his name as Indrajit because he defeated Indra, right? Look at the irony, it is the Indrastra which kills Meghnad, Indrajit. So he kills and Indrajit dies. Now I'll come to the portion where when I said Indrajit technically is a little more powerful than Lakshmana, how could Lakshmana kill Indrajit? So the analogy is very simple. It is like the 1983 World Cup. The famous and the most hot favorites were West Indies, right? West Indies 1979, 1983 team is the dream team. All those who are hooked to cricket would know, amazing team that they had, right? Completely invincible team that they had. But it was India which won the 1983 World Cup, right? Complete underdogs, right? Similarly, Lakshmana also won. Why? What is the difference? Is the thing that motivates you. What motivated West Indies? They were defensive because they wanted to protect their title. For India, they had nothing to lose. They were not even expected to be in semi-finals. Forget the finals, right? They were the underdogs. So they were all happy that they are in finals and they were giving their best. What happened in effect is they were more aggressive. India turned out to be more aggressive in that game and we won. Similarly, Lakshmana was fighting for dharma, right? He was fighting for the right cause. Indrajit at the back of the mind knew that he is not fighting for the right cause, right? So that made him a little weaker and ensured that Lakshmana became a little stronger. And Lakshmana kills Indrajit. The moment Indrajit dies, this is the time when Devas, Gandharvas, Yaksha, Kinnaras, they come and shower flowers on Lakshmana. Because Indrajit was the toughest person to kill on the Ravana side, even tougher than Ravana himself. Ravana, of course, is very tough, there is no doubt about it. But as I said, Indrajit was a notch above Ravana also. The moment Ravana now comes to know about Indrajit's death, he is completely slumped. He is finished, he is devastated. His mother, Indrajit's mother, comes to know. She comes wailing and looks at his body and she is crying and she says, "King, what have you done? Your brother is dead. One brother is deserted, another brother is dead. All your sons are dead, even Indrajit is dead. And only because of your desire. Had you just left your desire and ensured that you had given back Sita, if you had not even abducted her, it would have been so nice. We all could have lived happily. But all because of your desire and your lust that all of us are seeing this day." In that moment of anger, Ravana gets up, catches hold of his Chandrahas, that is his sword, and he says, "The root cause of all this problem is that wretched lady, that Sita, who's caused all the problem. I will go and kill her right away." And he starts walking. The moment he starts walking, these ministers, his left out army, whoever they are, they all stop him and he says, "King, you can't do that. She's just a lady, right? And she's a lady without arms. It doesn't befit you. You are a king. It doesn't befit you at all to kill a lady. We are already in so much trouble. Don't get into so more trouble at all. Okay? So you don't even get into this adharma. Now ensure that you go and fight like a king." For the first time, Valmiki actually says this. For the first time, Ravana listened to his ministers and was humbled. Otherwise, we know how Ravana used to behave to advisors from his ministers, right? This is the first time Ravana listened. Why? Because the fear of death had already set in. His adversity taught him humility. He had now become wise. He knew that he is fighting a losing battle. He knew for sure that he had done a mistake. He knew that he is not going to see through this war, but he had to fight the war. Why? Because because of him, the entire family is dead, the entire army is almost dead. Now going back saying, and no, okay, take back Sita, it doesn't make sense. He has to fight the battle. In that night, he is thinking deeply, saying, what do I do? Early morning, if I have to go and fight, I will fight. I don't have a problem. But before that, let me anyway try and do another mischief. Okay, I'm almost at the end of the time, but I'll anyway cover this particular part and then cover the balance part tomorrow evening. This will help me having a lesser syllabus to cover tomorrow. Okay. So what he now thinks is, let me call my cousin, and his name is Ahiravan. Okay. So technically Ahiravan as a character doesn't exist in Valmiki Ramayana. I am a little unsure whether it even exists in Tulsidas Ramayana and Kamba Ramayana, but there is a popular folklore that Ahiravan does exist. I will anyway cover the story, not for the sake of Ahiravan, but for a different purpose. Okay, and I'll anyway come to that. So he catch hold of his Ahiravan, who is actually ruling a part of Patal, which is the underworld, and ruling happily. And somebody who knows magic and all very well. So he's again from an Asura clan. So he catches hold of him. He says, come, I need your help. So he's saying, yeah, okay, what is the help you need? He's saying, go and ensure that Rama and Lakshmana become unconscious, and then you kidnap and take them to your world, your Patal look. So Ahiravan comes, he assumes Vibhishna's body, form. So it looks like Vibhishna, and he walks into the tent. That night, Hanuman is guarding the tent. Okay, Hanuman himself is guarding the tent. The moment Vibhishna comes, he doesn't doubt him. Vibhishna, as in Ahiravan in the form of Vibhishna, goes in, and after about 15-20 minutes, Vibhishna himself walks in. And that time it strikes Hanuman. He says, my God, how come you are outside? He just went in, he goes inside and sees nobody is inside. Ahiravan has ensured that Rama and Lakshmana are made unconscious and is carried them to the Patal Lok. Hanuman is devastated, saying, under my watch, how can this happen? I will ensure that Rama and Lakshmana are got back. Can you tell me what has happened? So Vibhishna says, I know what has happened. It is Ahiravan, who's my cousin, who's known for his magical powers. He's basically must have taken to Patal Lok. You have to go, defeat and get him back, Hanuman, but careful. The care that you have to take is that his power is drawn from a set of 5 lamps. Okay? Now these lamps, unless and until you extinguish them at a single go, which means they are kept in different direction, unless and until you extinguish all of them in a single go, his powers won't get vanished and you will not be able to kill him. So Hanuman says, don't worry, I will manage all of that. You just telling me the Google pin, where do I go? So Vibhishna draws, he says, this is where it is, you have to go. So Hanuman flies into the Patal Lok, and as he is flying, he enters the kingdom of Ahiravan. At the gate, he finds a person, a strong, muscular guy, very young guy and a strong, muscular guy, who's head of security for Ahiravan, and he's saying, who are you? Why are you here? You stop, Vanar, you can't go beyond us. You don't have the immigration rights to get into. So he's saying, no, my Swamis, both Rama and Lakshmana, your Swami has gotten, so I have to go and save them. No, you can't, you'll have to beat me and only then go. So those two fight. Okay? Before they fight, Hanuman asks, who are you? Okay? You look really radiant and powerful, who are you? That person introduces himself as, I am Hanuman's son, Makaradhwaj. Okay? So Hanuman is all psyched. He says, what? Repeat. Saying, I am Hanuman Putra Makaradhwaj. And then you got it wrong, son. Hanuman doesn't have any son. He is not even married. How come you are his son? So, no, I am Hanuman Putra Makaradhwaj. So, no, wait, what happened? So then he tells his story. He says, Hanuman, when he came back after burning Lanka, he comes back and he extinguishes his tail in the sea. A drop of his perspiration falls into the sea and gets swallowed by a fish. Okay? And she becomes pregnant. Ahiravan's team catches it and they find a whole full-grown child in it. And that is how Makaradhwaj comes to life. But then he understands and he says, you are my son, I am Hanuman. And I said, no, but we'll have to fight. I am more loyal to my master, so we will have to fight. So they have a fight. Of course, Hanuman wins. He doesn't kill his own son, so he just ties him and throws him at the side, and then enters. And then enters and he starts searching for the lamps, those 5 lamps. And the way they are placed is north, south, east, west, and at the top. Okay, that is how the 4 lamps are placed, and with a distance. These 5 have to be extinguished in one single go. Okay, this is the time that Hanuman assumes the most powerful being ever penned in any of our Puranas. Okay, the most powerful god written about in the entire Purana, and that is Panchamukhi Hanuman. Okay, Panchamukhi Hanuman is technically Hanuman on the east side. On the west side is, let me see who it is, Lord Garuda on the west side, Narsimha on the south, Varaha on the north, and Hayagriva. Hayagriva is on the Urdhva. Urdhva means on the top, like this, facing upwards. Okay. When we see Panchamukhi Hanuman, we see a 2D picture, right? So all are facing us, right? But it's not actually like that. It is a 3D image. So 1, 2, 3, 4 at the back, and one face facing upwards, Urdhva, that is facing upwards. That is Hayagriva. Okay. So Hanuman represents bhakti. Okay. We pray for him. Hanuman will rid us of all our sins, bestows peace, purity, happiness, and bhakti. Narsimha is Virya, Vijaya, right? Strength, stoicity. Garuda is all about physical strength. Varaha is Dhairya, okay? And Hayagriva is Jnana, wisdom. All put together, the most powerful gods, Varaha, Narsimha, Hayagriva, all are Vishnu avatar itself, okay? And Garuda is Vishnu's Vahan, right? And Hanuman is Rudramsh, that is Shiva's Amsh. So that is the form which Hanuman assumes and then blows at a single go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All lamps extinguished. Right? Ahiraman realizes that his power is gone down and he comes and fights and gets killed. Quickly on Panchamukhi Hanuman. I am not a person who generally, at least I not use this as a forum, to tell people that you have to have this photo or this guru or this god photo at home or wear a ring or whatever, or have a pendant or whatever. I generally do not advise all of that. But there is one small suggestion, if possible, if okay with your house and your family members, Panchamukhi Hanuman photograph, however small it is one photo that one should always have. Okay? And if possible, the best location to have is as soon as you open the door inside your house, not outside the house, inside your house, but the moment you enter the house, it should be ideally visible. It will ward off all negative effect of people coming in with different thoughts. People of different thoughts enter your house, right? People may be happy for you, people may be jealous for you, people might come with wrong intentions for you, people might be angry, there could be family issues. So different kinds of people enter our house. It is a Panchamukhi Hanuman photo. If it is there, it will surely protect all the family from all these negative side effects. If possible, if okay with you all, surely ensure that you have Panchamukhi Hanuman photo as soon as you enter. A powerful being which Hanuman assumes to ensure that Ahiravan gets killed. The same night, Rama and Lakshmana are got back and they are back into the tent. I will end the story for the day today here, because now the only thing that is pending for tomorrow is Ravana's death, right? And then of course Vibhishana's coronation, then Rama's coronation, Agni Pariksha, right? And then Rama's coronation, and then Purti of Ramayana. I might take about 40-45 minutes, and the balance 10-15 minutes we can have an open forum just to discuss queries, whatever that you might have, and then complete season 4 of our sessions, right? So tomorrow will be the Purti. Tomorrow is Rama's coronation, right? Rajyabhishek, a very auspicious thing. Generally Purti is done with Nevedya at home. Whatever sweet that you all can do at home and offer it to God after the Ramayana is done, offer and then partake it with your family. I'm sure all good will happen to all of us. With that, I end today's story. The next session is not next Saturday, not next Sunday, it is right away tomorrow. I want you all to join in as many numbers as possible for us to have the benefit of having heard Ramayana all these weeks. Dhanyavad. Are there any questions? Otherwise we can break into Hanuman Chalisa. Hanuman Chalisa? Shri Guru Charana Saroj Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhari Varanau Raghuvara Bimala Jasu Jodaya Kupalachari Buddhihina Tanu Janike Sumira Pavana Kumar Bala Buddhi Vidya Devu Mohe Haravu Klesha Vikar Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar Jai Kapi Satihu Loka Ujagar Ramaduta Tilita Baladhama Anjani Putra Pavan Sutanama Mahavira Vikrama Bajrangi Kumati Divara Sumati Ke Sangi Kanchana Varana Viraja Subesa Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज संवारे लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बढ़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई सहस बदन तुम यश गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाँ ते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाँ ते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपद दीना तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना
जुग सहस्र जो
जन पर भानु लील्योता ही मधुर फल जानो प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माही जलधि लांग गए अचरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाँकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे नासे रोग हरे सब पीड़ा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे चारों जुग पर ताप तुम्हारा है पर सिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता असवर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरहि हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करई संकट कटै मिटै सब पीड़ा जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा
जय जय जय
मान
हनुमान
गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई ये शत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप सियावर रामचंद्र की
जय
के बोलो हनुमान की
जय।
धन्यवाद।